Okay, I think I forgot to change the name of the string. So let me wait and see how to make that happen. You can just click and go live again. Yeah, just gonna change to 11. So now it looks like it's working. I haven't thought about too much. I did some things, but I still have a lot of things to do. But I'm gonna continue building the poker tool from where I left off. I'm gonna put some music for myself in the background. I think I'm gonna stay 1.5 hours and take a break, or maybe stop after 1.5 hours. So I did the parsing for the hands, and then I saved, and I figured out, I think, a good way to structure the data. It's a lot easier, I think, now because of the nature of the data, but I also think after doing this one that I could have done the other one differently as well. And this one I put spaces or put fields to get the stack and the type of hand directly from the data already, so I don't have to do that when I'm parsing the information later. So everything is kind of like set up in a way that is a lot better. And then I'm separating by the node ID, and I have actions that are based on the node ID. So I'll update them in sequence because I'm gonna use the node ID, and I realize that the tree from Pio is made with the node ID. Like, it makes a lot of sense, a lot more sense now to me. It just navigates through the node IDs and through the actions. So each node ID has a couple of actions depending on how you build the tree, and then each one of those actions is a range. So it's like each node is gonna contain as many ranges as it has actions. And actually one more, because then you have the overall range, which is the frequency of which that each hand gets to that point. So you have that range, and then from that range you have several different ranges depending on the action. And I think the one that is on top, or the show first, when you put the show strategy command, is the one that has the highest bet or the highest raise. And then the lowest one is the check or call. So it's like from most aggressive to most passive, I think, the way that is structured. But that I'm gonna have to experiment now to see how it works. Yeah, but here I have the node ID, which are all the actions that happen in the hand, and then for each, and I had to switch for position to being first rather than the player name because of the way that the data was structured, the string of the hands. Because I had to use the position to get the other information, so I couldn't make the name and then the other information. So then I decided to put display at hand, because then it becomes a lot easier to know if it's multi-way or not. I can just look at the dictionary, and which is the stuff that I'm gonna do now. So maybe I should just, oh, and here is a lot easier to read as well. And I think I'm gonna create 2 different projects as well. I'm gonna create a folder later to put this put the name of holder manager, and then put all these files there. So that way, like, I do one like small project for each type of hand if there is different types as well. And then later on I can build like a script outside that selects which one it is, depending on, like, I can put different modes and then select which one I'm gonna use. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that, because I think for a long time I'm just gonna focus on doing this, you know, with the whole cards here, because I'm gonna use this for myself. But if I decide to later on make a GUI for this, a user interface or something like that, and build on top of this, then I will think about the other stuff. So now I'm gonna create a file here for parsing preflop hand. Maybe I'll put get preflop. It's hard to think about good names that are descriptive and they are not really long. Maybe the underline is not necessary. But what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna copy most of this stuff from the other. So what I have to do now is create a bunch of simulations that are based on the flops that I have. Yeah, and I want to get the ranges. So that's two different things. So ranges first and then the flops, because I'm gonna build the flop simulations based on the ranges that I get. And I'm gonna show there the tree that I'm building, and I'm gonna have to think more about it as well, and it's gonna be difficult. But it should be an interesting part because I don't have a lot of experience with trees or building stuff with these more advanced data structures. Like I'm used now with objects lists and the basic ones, but the other ones I haven't built too many. Like I have, there's nothing I've built that uses them besides graphs. I think the only thing that I built that uses a more advanced data structure is a graph, I think. So yeah, let's erase. Let me see if I can reuse any of this stuff. I think it's gonna change a lot because it's a lot easier when I have the whole cards. I don't need to. I can just get it from preflop, and the rounds are different as well. I think I'm gonna erase all of this stuff here. I'm just gonna do everything again, like whatever. I mean, maybe this stuff here should live because it's the structure. I wanna save in the same format, I think. So the saving part, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. All types, all permutations. Yeah, I think this part I'm gonna leave it like this. The part in the beginning. So the saving is the stuff that I don't want to do 2 times. And I don't need this condition now because all of the cards that are exposed. So I also don't need this condition, I think. And now this is the stuff that I mean. I think it's going to be a lot easier now because there is a dictionary. I still have to look through all of the hands though. Bulldog data. So data. So I have to print the thing first because I haven't done anything with this data yet. So I'm gonna have to see the format. Let's see if I'm using this. Yeah, I'm using it here. And I think that I'm gonna comment this out and I'm gonna comment this part out because I'm probably gonna use the same thing, just save on the dictionary here with the same format. So this creates all the positions that are possible and puts on the permutation. And then initializes each one as a dictionary. So is the type, here range the type, which I already did manually here, and then you have like the position of the player versus the position of the other player as the string, so that it doesn't get too many dictionaries. It simplifies the thing. And then here I'm looping through all of them again. That's the part I think I'm gonna have to change a little bit. Getting all the frequency. And this is to check if there is a thing or not. Because some of the positions are gonna be empty. If there's no data, the list is gonna be empty. So I'm checking if there's values. If there isn't, I'll put 1 here because otherwise it's dividing by 0. So it breaks down. And you have to put this default value here when you have the max, because if you do max on an empty list, then it breaks down. So the default prevents that from happening. So here I'm updating the max frequency to be the percentage, I think. Yeah, I'm getting the maximum frequency, and then I'm multiplying. I divide it by 1, and then I'm gonna use the upscale to multiply here, so that all of them. So I get the one that has the highest probability to be equal to 1, and then scale all the other ones by the same amount. And then here, I'm updating them. I'll have to think. It's still this. The thing is still confusing to me, but I think it's correct. Is that I'm getting all the hands that are played. I think the main difference is that now I have the hands from preflop directly, so it makes the range be more accurate. Because the other range is this being filtered through all the actions that happen from the preflop to river, because the only cards you see are those cards. But now I think that is going to be correct, because the frequency of the hand preflop is the amount of times they play the hand in relationship to all of the hands they played. So the all frequency here is the sum of the frequency of all the hands. But that's the thing that I'm not 100% sure. I guess it is correct, because the only frequency that is relevant is when a player plays the hand. So it wouldn't be correct to divide by the whole sample size, because then it doesn't make sense. So I think it is correct. So we're taking all of the times they played. You're dividing by the frequency times 100 by all the times they played, and that's going to be the percentage that hand is part of the range. So I think it's still confusing, but probably correct. And I'm thinking about it because if it's going to be the same thing on the other nodes, but I think it's going to be the same thing. Yeah, so I'm going to show shortly what I did there. So this loop gets the frequency. I should probably put this stuff on. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to put this update frequencies inside of a function. It's more descriptive. And then I can just do this, and then save. We can just, and I'm gonna run this as a script, I think. So I'm gonna put the if name equals main, because Python, the compiler, I think, reads the name of the file each time that it runs to know the folder structure, I think. And if you put if name equals main, then it means that if you import this file on another one, it's not going to run the code. But if you don't put if name equals main, then it runs all the code every time you import on other files. So when it is meant to be a library, then you don't put this stuff, because it is meant to be imported on other files. But when you want to run the file directly, your intent is to run directly, then you put if name equals main. Because that means that it's only going to run the stuff that you have here after the thing, and it's not going to run on the other files, as far as I remember. So I think this stuff should be later done, but maybe not because yeah, I'm gonna yeah, this stuff should be here because I'm gonna update on the loop. So I should pass this here. And then encapsulate this into a function. Oh, actually, I have to make these parts to be global variables because they are going to be used on the other ones. And the reason I don't like making functions in the beginning usually is because I don't like structuring the arguments. I prefer to do everything outside and then I'll think about which arguments to pass, or I can just make it like this and then I'll just make it without any arguments. So get ranges, update frequencies. I think this works probably. So here what I'm doing, oh, the other thing is that I sent a message to the developer from Pio on Discord and he replied and was very helpful. And after that conversation, I understand now more how it works on the raises. So the 3-bet sizes are just the same sizes from the raises that you have there, but then there's a confusing calculation that you have to do to know what's going to be the size. That's going to be annoying as well to figure out. But I wrote down here, I think, yeah, formula. I made the formula to get the raise, the 3-bet raise. So it's the amount raised minus the previous bet plus the size of the pots times the raise percentage plus the amount raised. But I'm gonna have to think about this because I'm not 100% sure that this calculation is gonna work. Because the tricky part is that it has to work for every single node of the tree. True. I have to use this calculation to update the nodes, I think. Because the nodes themselves are not gonna have this stuff. It's just gonna be what I have here. And then I wrote down a bunch of other stuff as well. Oh yeah, there's something about the way that you make the cumulative bets is by getting the highest bet on the previous street and then increasing the baseline of the amount invested. And also figure out that the 3 numbers that shows there along with the pot is the amount of each player has invested. So it's the amount that out of position has invested and the amount that in position has invested and then the size of the pot. So let me... I made one with a lot less bets just so I could navigate and so it didn't take too much memory. So I can test things out to see how it works here. Yeah, but you see here that is 0, 0, 160. So navigate. And then once you put 53, then increases the size here for out of position player. Then 186 increases for the in position. So it's pretty much the amount that they invested so far. And the baseline only increases after the current street, which in this case you can see because there's no bets on the other ones. And maybe I'll create a simple simulation here while I'll do other stuff. So there's more things to... to look at there. So I think that's, with all of this information, I think I can programmatically create the add lines, and I have to create the add lines. Now the thing that is still tricky is the sequence, but I think the sequence is fine. It's just following the tree. So what I have to do is create the tree, and that's going to be the difficult part, the challenging part. So I created this poker node here, and the way that I'm envisioning, I'm going to create a different class called tree, or poker tree. And then the poker tree is going to have the root, which is going to be a poker node, which is going to contain, like the poker tree contains a flop. And then I attach a bunch of nodes to the poker tree that are going to be like with the structure here. So each node is going to contain all this information, which is a lot of things. So is the current range, which is the overall range that the frequency of the node. And a good way to think about this is that this is like the node ID on this thing here. And thinking back now is really obvious, like the name is even node ID. So yeah, but I think that it gets easier over time because there's less and less things that you're thinking about simultaneously. I think in the beginning it's very difficult because there's so many things I'm trying to do that it gets really confusing on understanding how everything works. But now I think it's a lot more clear in my mind. But the root node is like the navigation of the tree. And then each root node contains these actions here. And each action is a range. So there's the overall range, which is the combination of all the actions, of the frequencies of the hand. And this is the current range here. Then I'm going to pass the current node. Then each node has the information of what is the player that is acting. If it's an out of position decision, then this is going to be out of position. If it's in position, then it's in position. Then the size of the pots and the amounts that each player has invested. These ones I'm not really sure if I'm going to leave here, but I think that it's probably necessary because here it also helps. And I was thinking about whether or not to put this as a string with the tree values because it's easier. But I think putting in numbers is better because then you just update the numbers. I think this might be useful to get the percentages, or I don't even know if the percentages are necessary for the tree because you need the actual values. But I think it is necessary because on the tree I'm going to have to, I still haven't thought about yet how it's going to work. So I'm going to have to figure out now, but I think that the way that I'm going to do it is to get standard bat sizes on percentages based on the frequencies that I get from the sample. And then create the tree from this structure, from this standard bat sizes. And those standard bat sizes are going to be a percentage because they're going to be the same ones that are used here to build the simulation. So I'm going to have to convert from the percentage, and to convert I need the size of the pot at each node of the tree. That way I know the actual value. So I have the street, the parents, which is the previous node obviously, and then the children is the actions. So the children is each node of the actions here. And then the previous bats are raised. This one I'm not really sure if I'm going to leave it here because I have the parents there. But I was thinking of putting this because it might be easier to... It might be easier to make the calculations of... Or to determine if it's a bet, raise, or call. But now that I think about it, it's probably not necessary. Because the way that I'm getting the information there, I'm making calls and checks should be the same, which is a C. Maybe it does matter. I don't know. I have to think about it. Yeah, but I think as long as I have the actions for each player on each street, then you can build the nodes based on that. So the node ID has the children, which are the actions, all possible actions. And then I can either add all of the actions that exist, the different actions that exist based on the data, which I don't think I'm going to do because otherwise it gets too big. It requires too much memory and it takes too long to run the simulation. So the other option is to create a function that approximates the batch sizes of the data with the ones that I have already on the tree. So I think I'm going to try to build both options, but I'm going to remove this for now. Maybe in the future I'll put it. Yeah, initialize everything here. There's the nodes of all possible actions from current node. If node is the final decision on the street, it contains the turns or reverse as the children. So that's the tricky part, is that the way that it works there on Pio with when you're using the connecting here or starting, the way that it works is that if it's the last decision on the flop, then the children are going to be all the possible turns. And that's the tricky one. So I still haven't thought about this. It's going to be difficult to figure out. So I can either put on the other class something to deal with this, or just put the cards, but I think they will have to be nodes as well. That's the problem. Because that's the only way to navigate between them, I think. But I think I can just put the values as 0, 0. And then not put ranges. Maybe I'll do two different types of nodes. Put the card node and cards node and our third node, then river node. Maybe that's the better option because it is fundamentally different, I think. Because all you need on the turn node would be the cards and the children, which are the actions for that opposition player after the turn. Actually, you need to pass everything because then you need the information. But this is going to be updated with the children of the turn node, so you actually don't need the information. You just pass. Yeah, that's the difficult part, is figuring out the algorithms to traverse and add the nodes and remove them. And because it's so complex, I can't use ChatGPT to do it. Like there's a lot of code. So maybe it works if I put all the code. I can try that as well. Obviously, I want to use ChatGPT if possible, because then it becomes a lot easier. Yeah, okay. So I created this function here to create the ranges in the beginning, because I didn't want to put here, but it's pretty much a copy of the other function that I did, which creates all possible cards and then create a dictionary of the cards in their frequency, initializing them to 0. So this creates the template for the range, but maybe this is not correct because I don't want to do. Yeah, I think I can't do it like this. I have to. It's probably better to do it like this, because then I'm creating a new one for each one. And then if there's children, for action in children. Oh, actually, I made the children to be the actions. So this is wrong. I guess I was confusing the two because I was doing two different things at the same time. Then the nodes of all possible actions from current node. This is the final decision. Yeah, I think I did it like this because of the way that I was looking at the information on Pile. But children is supposed to be the nodes, not the actions. Yeah, so I should do another array here, I think. I think I confused the two. Unless there's a way to get the actions from the children, but I think it doesn't. Because like this is the template for all of the nodes. So it's just easier to get the actions. But let me think about it. Because the way that it works on Pio is that you navigate based on the actions. So the children are equivalent to the actions because each node is an action. That's the thing. Yeah, each node is an action. And then each node contains the ranges for that action. That's how it works. And the problem is I need the value. So maybe I'll put a thing called value, and then it's going to be the value of the action. And then I'll loop here, and I just put children dot value, or action dot value. I think I'll put child here, and then child, or maybe I'll put action. This is more self-explanatory. I think I'm gonna do that. Or current action. And make it equal to 0. So 0 is a check. Yeah, 0 is a check, calls the same bet. And that's the tricky part, because I don't know how it's gonna be. I'm gonna create the algorithm that adds all the possible nodes. I have an idea, but I think because I can limit the amount of bets on the tree, on the other class, then it doesn't matter the distinction here, because it's gonna be based off the decisions that I will have on the tree. So the other class, I define the boundaries, I think. Because obviously here, like, the challenge is how do you decide at which point that, like, when a node becomes the turn, and when the nodes get to the bottom of the actions, where there are no more actions. But I think you can only do that on the other class. I think it makes more sense on the other class. And this class only contains information to understand what's happening on the current portion of the tree. So I think that makes sense. So here, if children or child in action, for child in children. If child's I think I can do this. Value. No, not value. Current action. And if there are no children, then that means that it is like the final action, which in that case only matters the overall range that it has. Oh, actually, this is wrong, because what if it gets to the... Oh, but then it's gonna have the child, right? So... Because it has calls, and then... Oh, but that's a problem. Yeah, the last node is the problem. The last range, I should say. Because if I do it like this, then let's say it gets to the end. The end would have children, and then like how would those children work? So let's say I get to this node. Then the problem is, what would be like this would be a node that doesn't have children, right? So it would be just the range, I think. Yeah, and the range would be the action. So I think this is correct. So it doesn't matter, because up until this point here, there it has the 3 different ranges. It only stops when it's the end of the thing. But at this last node, it's still, I can still create everything. But the only thing that changes is that it's not gonna have children. It's only gonna have the current range, which is here. Yeah, I think this way is fine. So I'm looping over the other nodes that are the child, and if they are not on this dictionary, this dictionary I'm going to use to map the. So it's going to be, for example, let's say there's a bat, the bat 20, and then it's going to be the dictionary of the ranges. And this range is going to be the frequency that the action is taken with each hand. And that's how Bio keeps track, I think. But it starts getting tricky because of the calculations of the way that this is done. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, the way they did this, because in a way it does make it easier, I think. But it's just confusing to think about it. That's the challenge. It's confusing to think about it on especially the 3 bat sizes and all the possible paths that the thing can go. That's where it gets difficult. And this child's thing is just from ChatGPT, so probably I'm gonna remove this, or I don't think I'm gonna remove, but I'm gonna change. Fuck. What's going on? Oh, I think I just changed the name, maybe. Oh yeah. That's the issue there. And there we go. But I think I'll do this after I fix this thing here. Or after I solve this. Yeah, so here, for hands in data, I think each one is going to be a hand. So what I need is to create the preflop ranges now, I think. So I'm just going to filter to see, to get, maybe I should get all the cards, even if it's a multi-way pot. So, because I have the positions now. And so some of them have the turn and river. Yeah, so I think I have to do another loop here. Or player in players. And then I get the position. Oh, the problem is the way that I'm structuring the data here. So maybe it is better to separate them. I can't really do like this. Yeah, so I have to create there. Yeah, so I'll do just the data for the true because it's easier. And not do multi-way plots. I'm just thinking if there's a way to that is easier to get the amount of players. I think I can do values or sum or something like that, but then the thing is that it would be better to just extract everything on one loop because I'm probably gonna have to do another one anyway, so I don't think it matters. Yeah, so if it is one, I'm gonna increase this. But then how do I do it? Because I can only extract. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I have to do one first. Because how I'm gonna put the player. I can do a dictionary here, I think. To gather the information, even though I don't know. Or I can just check here, actually. Because I have the player name. Yeah, hero. So let me think. I think I don't need all the information. Just need the position. So just the position. I'm thinking about creating a dictionary and then storing the information for the hero, so I can use later. But I think the only thing that matters is the position and the type of the board. And now the type of the, not the type of the board, the type of the hand. And now I'm saving the type of the hand outside of this on the dictionary here, along with the starting plot. And also put limp here now. I'm not really sure if this is right or not though. Maybe I'll have to change. I think I put limp if there is no raises. I limp if there's no raises, then I just change the type of the plot based on the amount of raises that happen pre-flop. But I think that it's probably correct. Yeah, 3 bounce. Single spot. I think it is correct. And there's 2 different limits, so the values are different, but it is correct. So I can just put hand type there. So do hero position here. Oh, this has to be players actually. That's the problem. I can get from the key. So player. Let me think. Or hands. Yeah, how can I get the position if I know the name of the player? I can just do current position. Yeah. No. What am I doing? There's items here. And then I do position and player. Yeah, there we go. That way I have the values in the position. But how I'm gonna do this? Let me think. Because I have to store this information outside. So villain position. Yeah, this has the problem that it's gonna be on the same thing where it can be multi-way at first, but then I have to go back to see how I did the played hand. So I initialize the players with this. So assume everyone plays the hand in the beginning. So this is correct because it's gonna be 0 if they fold it. That's the thing. So maybe I'll do the condition. I switch this to 0 if the player folds the hand in the pre-flop. So it doesn't matter the order there. But maybe I should put a condition here that says that if played equals to or greater than true. I'm thinking whether or not I should put in the beginning or after. And now it doesn't make sense to do this here either. I think if I do it like this, then the problem is that it's not gonna. I think the continue is only gonna stop this loop, but not the outer one. Oh, but like it's not gonna. It's gonna continue going to the outer loop. Oh, but if played, I think this is correct because it's only gonna be. Like if I update the villain position with the wrong one, if there's 3 or more players, then it doesn't matter because the hand is multi-way anyway. So I'm just gonna pass. So I think I can put this condition here outside and then just update with the wrong values. Because this is only gonna run when there are 2 players. And then I don't need this, I think. Yeah, so if it's me, then I create this, and if it's not, then I create that. But I think if I don't initialize them outside, it's gonna give me an error there. Yeah, I should put here. I don't know why it's giving me this different color here. Just because I'm not using, but I'm updating there, so. Yeah, whatever. I think I'll continue building, and then when I run, I'll see if there are mistakes. So what are the other things that I have to look for based on? I think I just need the position and the type of hand, and then the type of hand I can get from outside, because it's on the other dictionary. It's just hands and type. I don't even need to do this, because do I wanna? I have to put limp here as well. I'm not sure if I want to get the hands that is only limped, because that implies that I didn't play, because I never limp. And so it's not really relevant as well, because this is not catching the situation. That's the other thing, because the way I classify is different as well, and this depends on each person, I guess. But when there are limps and I isolate limps by raising them, the pot is gonna be different than single raise pot, and a lot of the times it's gonna be different than the 3-bet pot. But I didn't put this classification here, and I didn't put on the. Maybe I should go back and create another variable that says that when they call, like if they called and there is no actions, then. But the problem with that is that it gets a lot more complicated, I think. So if they called and there are no actions, then it's one thing. But I think that these types of classification, and this is the other thing that I realized with the positions as well, where I had different classifications for, like when I'm on 3-bets out of position and I'm defending against the 3-bets, versus when I'm the one doing the 3-bet. Maybe this is relevant still, because I'm gonna have to create my ranges as well. But the reason why I think now is not that relevant is because I'm using the data to create the ranges, so it kind of doesn't matter because I have the data. But if I want to manually create my ranges, but I also think it doesn't matter that much, because like it shouldn't take a lot of time, and then we will understand when I'm manually creating the ranges that I'm gonna use. If I don't use I think what I'm gonna do is just reuse the ranges that I'm playing instead of building the ranges, because it's just more accurate. And that's why I think that doing this is gonna be very good. So I think it doesn't matter, like these small classifications on whether or not it's an isolation pot where I isolate limpers, or if it's a 3-bet pot, because at the end of the day I'm dealing with the actual data, so it's the actual values, that stuff that happen in the hand. And I'm not gonna, like the whole point of doing this is so we don't have to spend a bunch of time studying simulations. You can just train against the simulations that are already created based on the data. So you create the study framework first, and then it automates all the process of creating all the simulations, and then you can just play against the simulations. They're based on your exact data. And maybe I'll try to do things here to investigate like what parts of the game I can improve as well. So try to create some sort of hierarchy that tells me where is the parts that I have the highest EV to gain. So I think that's all I need pretty much here, I think. And then I can just do this this condition here, because I have the hand type. Yeah, it's probably all that I need. It feels a lot simpler than the other one. So I'm using the same ranges. Hopefully it's correct. And then I have to call the function at the end, the other function. So hands, hand type. I think to select all of them is Control Shift Alt J, and then this puts hands type. What about the cards here? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So I need to get the cards for each player as well. So I'll get it here. So let me look again. Yeah, it's just cards. The player cards. And maybe I should do the same thing that I did here. It's not necessary, but I think a lot of times I remember getting this warning because then, like, it might be the case that neither of these conditions are hit, but the value is still used somewhere else. So you can complain, I think, from what I remember, but and here I think I use the same for both of them, but don't remember really well. And this is weird because of the way that I did here. Because I have to check the cards. So I guess I don't need this check. It doesn't matter. Because I can just put 0 cards here and then 0 cards here. And it's just as simple as that, I think. Now let me run this and see what happens. Oh, I have to. So maybe I'll print at the end of the thing. I don't think I need to return anything because it's changing global variables. Yeah, so I'm changing villains range and heroes range. On this one. Oh, I forgot to. I forgot, probably delete by mistake. And here, I think, yeah, I could do this differently. also just put if and then add if and then put this shoe else together. But yeah, I think the reason why I didn't do this on the other ones because probably I was looping or something else. But here, because I'm getting the positions there on top, I think it doesn't matter. Oh, maybe it does actually. Because I'm checking to see if it's on the... It does matter. Yeah, I have to do separately. Because I'm checking to see if the card exists on the dictionary. So, like, if it exists on one of them but not on the other, I can't put those two things together. That's why I separated them. So it looks like there's a problem with the data. I think. It's villain position. I don't know though. Also, the position is correct, so the problem is here. So I'm not getting a hero position, but I'm getting the villain position. Oh, so it's a hand where I didn't play, so I can just put another condition here. I forgot to check for that. I don't remember if empty string is a false value, but I think it is. I'm also counting on the wrong thing here, I think. Oh, that's weird because... No, yeah, I'm counting on the wrong level. I should delete this. If it works, it was a lot easier than the other one. Then I have to format this two function so it works with the same data. But I think it is already correct because I'm using the global variables there, so it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that this is not used. So I forgot to change somewhere, probably. Yeah, here. Should be using here. Yeah, I also forgot to do this here. Oh no, it doesn't matter. So I think I can erase here. There's only be one, so it doesn't matter. So I think after this I just call the other functions and it's gonna work. I have to change the place that is gonna... It didn't print this stuff here. Maybe I did it on the wrong level. I'm supposed to do it, I think. Also, got an hour. The same thing again. So it's probably because of this. I think this is likely to be correct. I think I'm gonna leave the ranges as not, or as, I think it's not isomorphic. Yeah, not isomorphic. I don't think it matters that much. I think there will be variance on the data, which will make the ranges not isomorphic, because there will be different frequencies for different combos. I think it doesn't matter. It makes the tree bigger, so maybe it'll change in the future, but and now it makes a lot of sense, I think, because each node has the ranges, I think. Like it gets more complicated, the calculations of frequencies, I think. That's the reason why it's smaller if they are isomorphic in the beginning. And same problem. So maybe something else that I'm missing. Let me see if I can erase our comments. Let's see what's gonna happen. It might be that it's not. I don't see why it would be that though. Like, it's something else with the position that is wrong. Because here it is obviously not getting the hero position. Because it's saying that it's underlying cutoff, but appearance, and then the position is correct from the data. So it has to be a situation where I don't have the hero range. But then in my mind, if I'm using continue, you should go to the next iteration of the loop and not do these checks here. Oh, but I think that, maybe not, actually. I'm not really sure. Oh, it's big blind versus big blind. Yeah, because the way that I did... No, well, let me think. The way that I did before, I think I didn't care about on the permutations. To put big blind versus big blind, because then it just leaves as an empty list on all of them, so I think it doesn't matter. But I think here is a different error. It's probably, it might be an issue with the data. The positions is not, or the positions are not correct. There's two big blinds. So I'm gonna have to see how I got the positions. I'm getting the cards from this. On some of them I used regex because I used ChatGPT. And then on the others I just split the line, so there might be a problem And these ones were tricky as well because I wanted to get the starting pot. So I had to get the blind post, and the pattern is kind of tricky because the way that the line works. But as far as I was testing, it was working. But it might be because of the regex here. But this is not where I get the position, so. And then I create a bunch of flag variables here to work like gates for each part, for each street. Where do I get the position? And the position is going to be each player. I think I'm looping, yeah. I'm looping here. So on the chips line, I get the position. Yeah, on these lines here. Oh, and the way that I did was with a mapping here. I created this mapping outside because of the names here, and then it just changes these names from the ones that I usually use, which are easier to understand, I think. So it might be this the problem. And then I also created the map for the hand type based on the raises. So if it's me, maybe it's the me. If I put lower, I think I'm gonna remove this and put lower here. And then just put me. It's probably not that, but I think that is more resilient this way, probably. I think the reason why I left with the square brackets is I didn't know. Maybe it is better to put with the square brackets because other lines can have the me keyword as well from some other words. But I think this is fine. So I split the line based on the spaces. Then I get the stack based on this pattern. And then I check to see if the position is on the mapping. So I check to see what is the position here. So how is this possible? So maybe it's a situation where there's big blind, there's chips on other line. It has to be the situation where there's two different big blinds. Or is on the other script the mistake? I think it's more likely that it's on the other, but I should have done just players keys. Yeah, but I think it's on the other script, the problem. So I'm doing the positions in the wrong way here. Let me think. Because it's working on some of them, so it's probably not the initialization of this or the method here. Yeah, the positions are correct. So it's not the data the problem. So here is making the same. And that's the problem with the thing that I was talking about before, I think. That this is gonna update. But it should update only once for the hero. So how is it possible that they have the same position here? And because I'm looping over the player. Let me print this. Yeah, so is the position on the object. With hero and player name. Oh, zero position. I don't see how this is wrong. Maybe something else. I think I just print there instead. And the problem here is that I can't get the position directly because I have to get the name first to get the position. Yeah, so it's big blind and big blind. So it has to be wrong here. That's weird. Because I'm looping over the players. So it shouldn't make sense that there's 0 twice. So maybe the name is wrong in the data. The problem is if it is an issue with the data. Trying to think how I'm gonna get the names. I just do values and then look into it. Maybe just do name. Oh no, I don't have the name there. Let's do it here. What is going on? Doesn't make any sense. Because it's showing that the keys, it doesn't have true big blinds. So it has to be here the mistake. So the only possible option is the name. What? I don't get it. Oh, I'm also initializing this here. It should be here. Because it's making 0 each time. Maybe that's the... So it's not going over all the hands. And that's another issue. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Oh, it does, because obviously this is reinitializing to 0 every time. I don't understand what's going on. Now it's working. I don't think I changed anything besides the thing. And it's weird as well because there's only 81 hands. Oh no, so it's still not working. Maybe the other one wasn't working as well, just it didn't look. I think it has to be the names, that's the only explanation. No, but now it works. No, it doesn't. Why is printing all this stuff after? The names are different. That's what I can see here on all of them. So what's going on? As I'm only looping through the players once. And players is a dictionary, so the position is the key. And I don't think that the players are showing up twice because of the way when I put the keys there. It still works. It showed that is the same. Like there's different positions. There's no equal position, so like there's no way that this could be going twice through the same player, I think. So How is it possible that I have the same position? It's probably something really stupid that I'm missing. Maybe this checks you're not good enough. But then it would give me a different mistake. It should be this one. Oh, puts position here. Because of the counts. It looks like all of them have the different names though. But there's only one here as well. So maybe this shack. Yeah, it should be... Even if that works, then... Yeah, because it starts on 0. 0, 1, 2. No, I think the check is correct. Because that should be me versus a player. And here I should just put R instead of doing this. Oh, here I forgot to do this. Maybe that's the issue. But I don't see... Because it shouldn't even run, if that's the case. So I don't think this is the issue. Like, they have the same position, but I'm struggling to understand what is the problem here on this loop. Because it seems like it's gonna go through each player and through each position. So this only runs once for a player. And then I check based on the player name. And I update. Maybe the way I'm updating the position, that might be the problem. And now it's giving me the other error. Oh, I'm making hero range here. Maybe now, but I don't see how this is related to the other one because they shouldn't have the same position anyway. Yeah. There's something... It's probably the way that I'm updating each position for each player. And this also only has one. So it shouldn't even be going through here. Oh, it has to be equal to true. Yeah, I'm so dumb. But it's still a problem because it's gonna... Like, the positions are incorrect. Even if this works. Oh, I guess it's because if there are no two players, it just assumes that... Oh, it's because of the memory thing, the assignment. That's why. Because if there are no players, then... And I'm updating, like, it's pointing to the same variable, I think. That's the issue. So what if I did a string? Or I can use a map. Use positions. I think the map, because the string, I'm not really sure if it works. But I think the issue here is that because I'm initializing them and it's a key on this dictionary, like it's gonna point to the key, but I don't see how that is possible if it's not hitting this line here. Shouldn't it break the code? Unless I'm forgetting something. Because in this situation, only one player played, and because I was checking correctly here, then it goes through here, and then it... But then how is it possible that... Because if you only one player played, only one of these is being updated. So if the other one is not being updated, shouldn't it give me a different error message here? Because it's showing that is MP. So it's saying that both positions exist, but it's only going through one of them, one of the conditions. That's what's confusing me. So I don't know if I'm missing something. I think that the error is the way that I'm initializing, but if I don't initialize the variable outside, only initialize when I reach the condition. Oh, I think I get it. It's because of the outer loops. I think I get it. Because I'm not cleaning up these objects here once I loop through them. So the position is still exists in memory, but I'm getting from the previous loops. So it is wrong, so I have to figure out how to... I'm trying to think if I had this problem before. I think usually no, because that's not how I update. I think in this specific case, just because of the way that I have to update here is using the key of this dictionary. And if I do it with a string, I think it's not gonna work either. But it may, because then it might create a different object. But if it doesn't, I think I'm gonna create another dictionary, and then I update based on the dictionary. Because I don't want to make a bunch of if else statement, but maybe that's the easiest thing to do. Like if position is this, then I initialize to a string, if it's that. Because if I initialize to the dictionary as well, I'm gonna have the same problem of the memory, unless yeah. But maybe it's something else that I'm missing. And it looks like it's still going through this condition, even though because this is gonna but this, because if this is false, then it has to go through here, then it has to continue. So why is it going over this condition when there's only one player that played the hand? Oh, I think I'm doing them. No, I'm not doing them on the wrong loop. Hand players, items. Yeah, what the fuck is going on? So let me do the if-else statements here. Like, the thing that is puzzling me now is this condition here. Because here I can clearly see that only one player played the hand. So in my mind, it's supposed to skip over these lines of code here because I have continue. And played is not equal to true. It's only gonna update, so it should be equal to 1 here because of this. I should print the played as well. Oh, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong hands. But it should be printing in the beginning, so like this should be printing at the hand that I get this mistake here, I think. Yeah, they're both MP. And then this is 1 as well. So how come it's going through this? Maybe I should do an else statement here. But the thing is that it's not gonna fix the problem, I think. I still don't understand why. I think it's because of the memory thing that I talked about. Yeah, because here is MP. Yeah, here the villain is MP, and then here the player is MP. So I think that this gets from the previous iteration of the outer loop, the position. So I have to change this as well, I think, to create a different string. But I was trying to avoid that. And if I do a dictionary, it's gonna be the same problem, I think. And I think I can use the copy but I also think that I'll probably just do the match thing, where I check for each position for the string and then I initialize equal to a string instead of the object, or the key of the object. But I'm not sure if that solves the... I think it's still the same problem, because it's just a problem of this condition here, I think. Because even if you initialize to a different string, like if it doesn't go on one iteration, then it's going to use the value that it got from the previous one. So if it doesn't go through here, it updates. I guess if I update here in the beginning, then it also works. But I think I was getting the same error before when I was updating here in the beginning. Let's see if it works. I'm gonna go back to the way that it was, just see if it's gonna fail again. Then if it does, then I'll change to a string instead of the making it equal to the object. Yeah, so now we're still going through this part here, which I don't understand. So maybe I should use pass instead of continue. Oh, the timer ran out as well, I think. And I didn't even realize. Oh, so now I have to check for the villain position. But it's weird because the plate shouldn't be equal to 2 here. That's the thing. It's equal to 1, so how is it going through this condition here? Doesn't make any sense. And it is saying that is 1 here, so... And if either one of them is true... Oh, it's different. Damn, so dumb. Oh my god. I hope it works though. And now I think I should go back to the other way and see if it works. I don't know why I was thinking that it is equal and not different. I was thinking the other way around. If it is equal to 2, then you get the information. So this one is a problem with the dictionary here. I think, because now it is supposed to be correct. Now I'm not really sure if it is good as well to change here or not because of the whole memory thing. I think I'll leave it like this. So here range hand type, then these positions should exist here. So there's a problem here, I think. Maybe it's because this is outside. Yeah, let me print the... There's so many dumb mistakes. It's an empty dictionary. How is this possible? Oh, it's because the limp. That's why, I think. Yeah, I forgot to put a limp here. But how is this possible as well? Because it shouldn't be working. As far as I remember. Oh, maybe it's when I mown the big blind and then someone else limps and I didn't raise them. Maybe that's the situation. There's big blind versus button there. Yeah, but I'm not gonna print a thing. Go back and print to see what's such situation that happens. I think I'm gonna leave it like this because I think there's a low probability that, unless that it doesn't run, but then I'll try to figure out. This is interesting as well. So there's one that, so maybe it's a problem with the data. Or it has to be, if it's going there. If the person played, but then there is no cards. I think this is one of those that I use regex, so it could be wrong because of the way that it is getting the pattern. I think it was on pre-flop. Yeah, card out. Yeah, I use this regex here to get the cards, I think. Doesn't have the cards. Yeah, so this one has to be here, the mistake. Or is some like weird hand that's for whatever reason it doesn't have the card. So what should I do? Because the issue with this is that it's hard to debug. Because how I'm gonna know what is the position that it's not adding the thing. I can get all the players for each one and then see. My concern is that it's a problem with the regex here. Because I got this from ChatGPT. Oh, this I'm using 0 and here 1 as well. But I guess it's a difference, yeah. It's a different pattern because this also has square brackets. So I think, yeah, so it's obviously not on this situation because it's hitting the other line, so it means it's not a hero. So it would be a problem with this regex here. But I remember testing on a bunch of them and all of them worked. The ones that I tested, but obviously it could be still wrong. Because you're supposed to get these cards here inside and then you join based on this space there. So is either a problem with, I think it's less likely that it's a problem with the regex, it's more likely that it's just a weird hand that for whatever reason it didn't show there. And this is the issue because there's so many hands, like how would I know? I guess I can print some stuff and then based on the information try to search for the files, but that's, I think, like my biggest concern, I think obviously it's not that big of a deal if only one of them is wrong or some of them, because for whatever reason there is no cards. But the issue is that if it is a fundamental problem with the data, with the way that I'm parsing here, that's the thing that I'm concerned. If that's the case, then obviously everything else is wrong as well, even though it's working. So, but as far as I can think here, there's nothing wrong. The only thing that could be wrong is the regex, which I think is less likely, or the data that is messed up. I think it's the data, the more likely. But it's weird because I didn't change anything here with these hands, I just downloaded them. So I don't see why the data would be wrong as well. Because it's supposed to show all the whole cards whether you play or not. Maybe it's just a bug when you download. I'm gonna print the whole hand before. I think what I'm gonna do is just ignore this, but I wanna make sure that I'm not missing anything here. That might be a mistake with all of the other stuff. So there is no flop. As the small blind doesn't have the cards. It could be because of the way that I'm getting the position here for the line. Let's see. Because I'm splitting the line to get the thing. Yeah, but then it would be a different mistake. So, because I'm using the map here to get the first element of the line, and then I use the map to get the correct name. So in this case, it's going to be small, and then it's going to be SB for the position there. But it's weird that it doesn't have... This doesn't have anything to do... Oh, maybe it does, actually. Yeah, it does have. Because maybe I'm updating the wrong player with the cards. And then one of them doesn't have a card because of that. So that might be the problem. Yeah, but then you would just fail, I think. Because the position wouldn't exist on the map here. And it has to go through each one of them one time, I think. Unless there are other lines that are like this. I have card doubts. Yeah, it has to be a problem with the data. Because it would fail here if I was updating the... If I was updating the wrong and then the wrong position, but it had the position on the thing, then it would update the wrong cards at the wrong time. And in that situation, one of them wouldn't have cards, but... The only way for that to happen would be if they have the same name, and there's two different lines with the same name. That's why I think it doesn't make sense, because this shows only once for a player there, and each name is different. So the way that I have the map here in the beginning. So that's the thing that doesn't make sense. It can be the blind as well, because I'm only getting the first element of the list, the line. Yes, here. It could be because of this though. That's the thing. Because these lines are the ones that I was most uncertain about, because I don't know. As far as I could tell, there isn't a problem with doing like this. Because the thing is, the challenge is that I have to initialize the player when I post the blinds, so I can keep track of their bets on the actions. So that's why I'm doing this stuff here. And then because I'm using the same line for all of them, maybe that's the issue. But then, because these lines show up later than the cards down, I think. Because it's posting the blinds show here. Oh, I didn't check for this thing here, for when I'm on the... That's the issue, I think. That's why there's a problem. Because I'm skipping myself when I'm on the blinds. And then it's getting the wrong position for the other ones. Oh, yeah, thankfully I spent time on this. Because I wouldn't catch this if I just ignored the thing. But these lines is still tricky because it has to be exactly the same. And I don't think that's very good. It has to be exactly the same pattern. And so I'm gonna run this again, and the issue is that I have to find a line that it has, or I can just change. It's probably gonna be the same for big blind. So maybe the other mistakes had to do something with this. For the other positions, it was probably the same thing, where some hands, because I was updating the wrong way here. But the thing is, it shouldn't matter, because like these lines come after the positions. So I do think it's a mistake, and it's better to put it like this. But it shouldn't matter for that mistake, I think, for the other error message. Should put like this. So it's still a mistake here, I think. And the problem is that because of the way that it's separated pre-flop here, is when I read all of the lines until it gets to the flop. So I'm using the same thing to get all the patterns, and it gets more tricky, I think. Because I have to get the actions as well. The lines of the actions. So let me spend some time thinking here. So I'm getting the line, and then I'm seeing to see. Because these lines should only come after the... Oh no, they come before. Yeah, they come before. So I think that was a mistake, probably. That was a mistake. No, but then it doesn't make sense because here. Oh, I am initializing the player here, though, I think. Yeah, I'm getting the position and then I'm initializing the player. I initialize the player in the beginning through the chips. So maybe is not the problem. I'm only using this to append the actions. And then it should go through cards doubts anyway. Oh, but this is the issue. No, but yeah, it must be the issue here because it's a different pattern. But let me think. No, is this it is the correct pattern. Yeah, because this one I use ChatGPT, so to get the cards here inside. So it should be correct, this part. I think it's better to do it like this, but it was probably correct before as well. The issue before is that I wasn't updating the actions or the starting pots when I was the big blind with the posts. But besides that, it shouldn't have anything to do, I think. Now that I think about it here, with these lines here. So it must be a situation where the line, for whatever reason, is different. Because I remember... maybe I should check if ChatGPT would use the same command to find. But I don't know what's going on today. Not being able to think very well. I think I have brain fog. The question is, should I just keep going and then ignore this here, or should I spend more time trying to figure out what might be, if there might be something incorrect here, or it's just the data? Like that, for whatever reason, one of these hands doesn't have the pocket cards for one player. And how I'm gonna know? Yeah, like, what can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen? I guess instead of using regex, I can use something else as well to try and see if it's gonna work. Because that might be the issue as well. But, like, why would it not catch on only one situation? And then on all of the other ones, it works fine. If the format is the same. That doesn't make any sense to me. And here, let's make it like this, just be safer. Is there anything that I can print here, Joe? The hand is a limp. But the thing is, it should be showing the pocket cards for whatever kind of hand. And the other ones have the pocket cards as well. The other players. And it's not me as well. It's someone else that doesn't have the cards. So it should be this thing here. I guess one thing I could do is just create an ID for each one and then increase. And the ID would be the counter. And then with that ID, I can go on the other script and I can get the ID. And I can see which hand it is from this script. And then based on that, I can investigate, I think. Let me think. To see the line that it is. I think I'm gonna do that. And then, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And see. So that way I get one lower. So if the ID there is 89, then on this thing here, I make a condition to check if the count is 88. And that's gonna be the hand, then I can see what line it is. So I'm gonna have to run this again, and then it's gonna overwrite the data. But if I can't figure out, then I'm just gonna ignore, but it's still not very good because obviously like there's always the chance that something else is wrong. And then all the data is gonna be wrong, and then it defeats the point, obviously, of... And so now it should be changed. Yeah, ID. So and it also changes the blinds as well. So we'll have to run that again anyway. But I don't understand what is wrong here. It must be missing something. 7,009. I guess I can print both of them, just to make sure. Yeah, but it should be 78. Because the count updates later. Let me think. It should be 79, I think. I'll print 79 and then I'll print the other ones. So it must be 78 because it didn't print. I'll try the other ones, obviously. I will put between a range here. It's still not working. The ID should be the count, so it should be the correct one. And it starts on 0. It starts on 1. And it should be this line. 79. So I think it should be this one. Because the other one is this small blind that doesn't have. So let's... maybe I will do this at the end there. And just print everything to see. So that's the line, then the name, the cards. Oh, yeah, that should be the formatted cards. Yeah, it looks like it is working here. So what else can be going wrong here? So maybe it's a problem I did here. Or maybe it's the whole object thing. The way that I'm initializing this. Yeah, I think it could be... No, but it's saying that the player doesn't have cards. So it's not the way that I'm initializing. The object doesn't have the the cards. It's weird because the ID should give me which hand it is, which means that around the ID you should hit this card out here for that hand, and then it should be hitting this spot here. But then the problem is that if it hits here, it means that it worked. So but maybe there's nothing wrong, but I don't understand. Because it should at least show one situation here where, and because the position on the other one is small blind, I think is this one. But the hard thing obviously is that I can't look by the cards because I don't have the cards on the other. Because that's the problem. But the regex is working, so I think I'm gonna think about this off stream and see if I can, because for everything I did here, it seems like it is correct there, but I'm concerned. I don't want to keep going if there's this concern that even though the data, even though it might work, because obviously what I can do is just keep this, like, or put some condition here where if the player doesn't have cards, it doesn't do this, it does something else, and then a check for here. So it's not a big deal. I think it should solve, but the issue is that if I do it like that, then there might be an error with the whole way that I did the data, and that's the biggest problem. Because I want to have a high degree of certainty that the data is in the correct format. And the rest, I think, is easy, because if it works, then it's just creating the dictionary here, and then it's just call these other functions to update the frequency and choose save, which is going to be the same thing. I'm just going to change the I can do this now, actually. Just do bulldog and ranges or range files so that it doesn't overwrite the other one, and I save them in different places. I can just put here range files. And then it's gonna save on the, obviously I can pass as a parameter here as well, but I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Oh, and I don't need this stuff also because the hands are on the different formats. So actually I'm gonna have to change this as well, but it's just gonna be easier. So all I have to do is add the thing. Add the hands to the formatted instead of doing like this. Because the other one was a different format for the hands, so. Yeah, I should just put card there. And then remove everything else. And it's just going to be formatted. Oh, this. But this thing is concerning me because of this error here. Because it shouldn't be a problem with the data because it should be all the same. Like all of the hands should have pocket cards. And if for whatever reason one hand didn't have, then I think that's you wouldn't put hands on the other players. Because why would be just one position that doesn't have the cards dealt? Like maybe it's a situation where like the player was in the hands in the beginning of the hand, but then they left the table, but then also it's kind of weird. So like the main concern that I have is that I'm doing something wrong to get the cards and updating all the players with the wrong cards. And then that would screw everything up for getting the data and everything else. And it's not an easy thing to know because as far as I looked at here, everything seems correct. That's the problem. I don't see, like, the hand ID here should give me the counter there. Even if it's not precise, checking a lot of different values. So maybe I should do like 7,000 and just get the SB. The reason I think small blind is because I think I printed here. And then print player. I don't know if there's probably a better way to check what is the position. Yeah, I think I just printed the players there. But I did this and I think it's the small blind that doesn't have the cards, so I think that's the last thing I'll try. Put small blind there, and then I'll use this to check if it's small, and then it prints only if it's small. Print stuff, print the line here. Or pocket cards patterns. Oh, the thing is not using this to get the cards, it's just using the line. Just use the line. I guess I can print this as well. Or the other one. Yeah, it's the small blind that doesn't have the cards here. Or I can look at all of them. And instead of doing it by the count, I can just look at all the hands. Yeah, so that's the thing. I think I'll just do that. And it is also not me, the player, I think. I think it's someone else, so I'm gonna exclude me from here. Yeah, sit 5, so it's not me. What is going on? Yeah, seems like it's working on all of them. So it has to be a situation where it's not hitting this part here. But if the small blind is playing, you should always see this line. Because that's the only line that is gonna give the cards. So I think I'm confident after this that it's working on like all of them. So it must be a problem with the data. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe I should do the count thing and then print the hands. Yeah, print the lines based on the count. Let's try that. So first I'm gonna run this again. Just see. Then I'm going in the beginning here. Because that way I can see the whole hand. Yeah, it's this number here. So I'll put within this range. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong lines, I think. No, I think I'm doing the correct thing. Because the count is updating the same way, I think. No, the counts... Maybe the count is going by line. That's the problem. Yeah, the count is updating by line. I'm messing it up. It should be ID here. Or it should be outside. And then I put here. Yeah, that's why. And then outside of here, you should do the ID. So I have to try that again on the other one, I think. Because I was using yeah, I was updating the hands only on specific counts, but updating them like all the time. So I have to do the same, I think, here. Yeah, and then I will use a range because I want to catch the lines. But then how I'm gonna know? I have to divide the last ID based on the lines. Am I updating here? Yeah, so that way each hand's gonna have an ID. Then based on the ID here, I set up a range and then I look again. Because I was updating the hands by lines, but then checking them with the counts there. This doesn't make sense. Oh, maybe it does because... No, but it should be saved on the same order. So now I don't understand why the IDs are different here. Like, it makes sense the repetitive ones, but it's probably like it can be because of the continue, but that doesn't make sense. Because it should be updating only for the hand, and here I have the IDs separate. So maybe it's this condition? That wouldn't make sense either, I think. Well, maybe it's the way that I'm... No, but that... The way that I'm appending there. Beautiful. It's probably the way that I'm appending here. Huh. So I'm appending the same hands. I think. Because here I'm reading by line, I forgot about this. Damn. But it's weird because like a lot of them are correct, the information of the hand. So yeah, but the only thing that this does, I think, is just appends a bunch of empty ones, empty objects. Yeah, but I can move this to this point here, because this is gonna be at the end of the hand. But then the other one, I think it doesn't matter because it's gonna update anyway. And it's probably better if I append them only there. But I think that's not the reason for the error that I'm getting there. It's good that I'm seeing this now, but it still doesn't solve the issue, I think. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me because the IDs should be in sequence here. And it can't be this loop as well because I am getting the data for the hand for each item in the thing. Oh, maybe it's because of the way that I'm printing here. But the thing that doesn't make sense to me is that like these ones are lower than the other ones. Like much lower. It goes from 94 here to 0. And I'm just printing the ID. That's what doesn't make sense. Unless there is the same hand there. That might be the issue. But how would that be possible? Only if it's updating the same object for each one. And then on some situations for whatever reason. But I don't see how that would be possible because I'm initializing here on each iteration of the loop. So it should make this every time. So maybe I should just print the IDs here, just say. Yeah, same thing. Or maybe it's just not when I open the file, it doesn't open in the correct way, correct order. But I think that there are ones that are equal as well here, and it shouldn't be. Like 2 ones. So there's obviously something wrong here. And this should be updating once for a hand. Here are the boundaries here. So how is it possible? It's probably the way that. Yeah, but I'm adding only when I add the hand, so when initialize a new hand. So it should always be increasing. Maybe no. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to see what's wrong off string. I don't understand what's going on here, though. So I'm gonna have to think, maybe research, or like the challenge is that I don't know, like, from what kind of thing to search to understand. The only thing I can think of is that is a memory problem with the way that I'm initializing here because of the loops. But that doesn't make sense to me as well because of the way that I did the other one. And I think it should work. I mean, maybe because I'm not initializing them to an empty hand at the end. It might be because of this here. Yeah, maybe I have to do the same check here. As here, it would be the same thing that I did, but the other way around, where the current game is the ID. Hence current game equals this. Yeah, so everything different, obviously, because of the data structures. But the pattern is the same, I think, looping over the thing and creating a different object for each. And it's still the same thing. Yeah, but now it looks like at least these first ones are going. But then it goes back. There's also the chance that not all of them have the summary. I'm doing the hands outside here. Oh, the other different thing is the files. That's different than what I did before as well. So I think I was updating them on the wrong line because of this. Yeah, I had to update in here. So maybe I'll move this stuff, although it's probably gonna be the same. But it's probably better to do it like this. I think I made a mistake because of the difference in lines here. It might be because of the files as well. Because on the other one I'm looping over one file only, and this one I'm looping over several different files. Yeah, so I think I have to here. No, but that doesn't make sense. It has to be at the end there of the pattern. It has to be at the end of the pattern. So otherwise, it's just gonna update once I have gone through all the files, which doesn't make sense. I'm gonna think about this off stream. So the next thing I'm gonna do once I figure this out is to. I think once I do that, I'm gonna have the ranges. Like, it shouldn't be hard. If everything is correctly, the rest is easy to do. But and then after I get the ranges, then from the ranges I'll construct the tree here with this node. Yeah, I'll create a different class, and then I will use the tree class to add the nodes based on the node ID and the bats. I think I'll also update the bats again in the same way that I did before this one. Because the most frequent bats for each player out of position are in position. And then based on that, I will create the simulations here, or the tree. Figure out how to create the tree with all the decisions. But I think I'm gonna spend a lot of time before I continue to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Because it's very confusing. And I don't see like where the mistake is. But I think that there might be a mistake because of the ID and the order of these IDs here. Which is weird. It shouldn't be going back to 1, 2, I think. Because I'm supposed to be updating by each hand here. So it should be increasing unless the data gets updated in a different way. But I didn't, like, that wouldn't make sense, I think. Because it's just uploading directly there. The hands here. It might be the case that it's not, but that wouldn't make sense either, I think. But I can try to delete, I think. And then do it again. I'm gonna figure this out off stream. It's better because there's nothing I can do, just have to think and then see. But next time I come back, I'm gonna, if I figure out, I'm not sure when I come back. I'm probably gonna come back tomorrow. If I figure out by then I'm gonna explain. If not, I'm gonna continue to try to solve it. Then eventually I'm gonna figure out, and then I will continue to do the rest.